everyone, good afternoon. This is Ida of Created to Create. Welcome back to my channel. If you are not 18 years or older, this video content is not intended for you. I wanted to share a project with you guys. I have been working on completing a couple more of my bee kits that some ladies wanted. Unfortunately, some of the ladies did not follow through, so I still have the blue kit that I'm working on right now, and I believe one yellow one left that is available for purchase, and they are $55 shipped anywhere in the US. Only you can pay via PayPal. Friends and family, please. And anyway, if you're interested, I will link. I'll put my email in the description box. That way you guys can email me. But I wanted to share with you one of the things that I created for the kits were my bee bows. Let me grab some really quick so I can share them with you. Were the bee bows that I created for the kits. And I just call them a bee bow, but it's not like it wasn't a set or anything. I just kind of put two different dies together to create these bows, and the wings can be fluffed up and all that. They're flat right now because they're in the package, but I will share with you what I used to create those. I used this generic bee die that I picked up. I've had it several years. I probably need to get another one because I've been using it quite a bit. I've used it quite a bit. And then another thing that I use is the medium bow from the Pink and Main set, which I use the medium bow and I use the tails that hang down. So those are the two dies that I use to create these bows. Now, I put as my base layer, I added foam, and I love the dimension that the foam leaves. It's not too much, it's just perfect. But what I didn't like about it was that it was really hard to glue in little areas to add the double-sided tape. And that's what I didn't like about foam. I couldn't find a glue that would really work. But as I was creating these, I remembered I had this that I used to restick my mat, and it is a Zig two-way glue, and it is made by EK Success, I believe. And I will link it in the description box. And I tested it. I cut out a piece of foam, and I had a scrap piece of paper, and I added the glue, and I glued the paper down to it and let it set for a while to see if it would, you know, really adhere or if it would come undone. I really did like the results, so I decided to go ahead and start using this because I think it really works well with foam. So I cut out my dies, my bee die out of foam, and it does cut. And I think you can even go up to a 3mm and it will still cut. This I think is a 2mm foam, so it's not very thick. But I leave all the little pieces intact, and I just pull out, you know, the perimeter of the bee, and everything that is in the middle and the wings, I leave that as is. As you saw, it came off real easily. And I'll show you again how, because I'm working on two kits at the same time. I'm working on a pink and I'm working on a blue, and the blue one is still available, but I want to go ahead, even though they didn't pay for it, I'm going to go ahead and complete it and maybe release it at a later date. So anyway, you saw how easily that came off. Now, what I do to put these together, I put the foam layer on the bottom first, no matter what color of foam you're using. And then I just use, is this the right side? Yes, I want to use it right side up. I believe this is the right side. Not sure, I might have flipped it around because this one looks more defined. So all I do is I use my Zig glue, And this does come out blue, but sometimes you won't see it blue. It'll just look wet because it's a very light blue. And you're supposed to let it sit for a little bit. So here, you can see that it's blue right here. And I just make sure that I'm adding it to every area. And it doesn't go on my mat because the foam is dimensional, so it doesn't let it touch my mat. So I'm just going to add the glue, make sure I have plenty on the little antennas. Move that one aside, and you're supposed to let it sit for a little bit. And I think it goes clear, then you're ready to glue. I don't wait that long. But I really like the way this works. And, you know, I really didn't like having to add the double-sided tape. I felt like it was very time-consuming and very tedious. And I wasn't having fun because it was taking me a long time to create my embellishments. As you're going to see from this embellishment, just creating this one, that every embellishment that is in my bee kit takes a long time to create. And it takes several layers to create them. So the first thing, I have my foam piece, and now I have my black one. And the black paper one is the first layer that I put down. And it's very easy to move it around. Make sure you got everything lined up. That's what I like about it. You still have room to move it around. Make sure you got it on the right spot. And there is my first layer. You can apply a little pressure. Now, in the openings right here, it is a little tacky. For me, it didn't matter because by the time this gets done, I'm sure it gets to wherever it's going, the glue is going to dry. That's in between the wings. But you could, at this point, sprinkle some glitter and just rub it in with your finger, and it will adhere to just the openings of the foam. It'll adhere only to the foam, so you'll have glitter in between the little sections in the bee wings. Gosh, took me a while to explain that. So now I'm going to do the other one, and the longer it sets, the more it sticks together, and then you don't have any trouble. So this made my job a lot easier, because even though I love crafting, when you're doing too much of one thing, then it becomes work. And I have done a total of 12 bee kits, and I am so ready to move on. So I will not be creating any more of these. What I have done so far, that's going to be it as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so there is that part, and it is adhered. And if you wanted to, you could put something, you know, like an acrylic block or something to press them down to make sure it's glued down. So my next layer is going to be my colored, and I'm not going to do the blue ones yet. I'm just kind of going to set those aside because that blue one is I really need to finish this kit for tomorrow. So for the next layer, I do add dimension. So for that, I'm just going to add some foam tape on my next layer. So I'm going to add some foam tape to the center of this butterfly. And I usually just snip one in half and add them to the center. There's one. Again, I'm just going to snip it and add them to the body of my bee butterfly. So that's all I'm going to do there. And then I do like to add glue to the tape when I put it down. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glue. And I just use regular glue. I use Scotch. That's my my glue of choice. Uh-oh. Make sure you're centered as much as possible. I love the contrast of the pink and the black together, and the baby blue and the black together. Even if it was pink and chocolate brown or light blue and chocolate brown, that the contrast between those two colors is really, really nice. So I'm going to add, when you look at this already, just between the black layers and the pink, that's already 3 layers. 3 different die cuts that you're layering together. So these are pretty time consuming to create, and I think it takes quite a bit longer to cut. So we have 3 there now. I have been using diamond dots a lot on my projects. I love the way they look. So I'm going to add a few of the diamond dots to my project, and I do use glossy accents to adhere that. And I'm only going to do, it has like an indentation or an embossing line curves right here, and that's where, if you can see, that's where I'm putting the glue, just in these little sections. I don't put anything in the middle where the body is, just there. And so let's add some of these. I think the bottom one I only added like 3. And then the next row up, you gotta make sure they're turned the right way. I think the next one I only put 4. And the last one, this one I think I do 5. And I'm only going to put 1 together. Actually, you know what? Let's do both of them. I don't have nowhere to be. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one, and I've been pushing myself, guys, to make at least 3 of the embellishments for my kits that I had ordered. You know, I'm one of those people that if somebody wants something that I created bad enough and it already sold and they didn't get one, I'm one of those people that is willing to go the extra mile and make another one, because, you know, that way they don't get left without. The only problem with that is sometimes you might follow through, but someone else doesn't, you know, whoever's purchasing doesn't, and that's where it makes it difficult. And I can see why some people decide not to. You know, they create what they create and that's it. I can see why. But for me, I'm okay with this because I didn't keep any of the embellishments for myself. And this way, this gives me an opportunity to keep some for myself. I really needed to get 1 more in there. So this gives me an opportunity to keep some of these for my stash, because I do love anything that is bee themed. Is that for me, Emily?
Yep.
Yum. Emily, my daughter Abby just got home from work and brought me a little container of fresh cut fruit. They know I love fruit. Okay, so there is that. And I use these little trays that comes with the diamond dot kits, or you can buy them separately at Hobby Lobby or on Amazon, because when you put your diamond dots in there, you shake the tray and they kind of line up in those little lines and they turn right side up. My eyesight is not what it used to be, guys, so sometimes I struggle with things because I can't really see that well anymore. Let me see, did I put my bling away? I don't think I did. I hope not. Maybe I did. Oops. Yeah, I think I did. Let me grab my dots that go here. So then I have these larger dots that I'm going to add to with that. Then I'm going to add to there is an indentation right here in on the head of the bee. So I just add those there. I use my pokey tool because they get stuck to my finger and I don't want to get any oils from my hands, natural oils, and then they don't stick well. So let me put these away. So I thought I'd bring you along today to share the bows because my friend Jackie asked me, where'd you get the bow dye from? And I laughed because it's not really a bow dye. It's just, I need to move this over. It's not really a bow dye. It's just two bows I combined together. Man, I'm a horrible judge of when I eyeball stuff. So there is the bodies. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little tail to the bows. Here are the little tails. And I like to give it a little bit of movement. So I'm just going to take this skewer and I'm going to curl it around the skewer and then down and then the tails up. I kind of just use it to curve because it doesn't put creases in it. It's more like a curve versus if I just try to bend them. So I bend them down first and then I catch the tails and roll up. I'm just holding on to the tails and rolling up to give it just a little bit of movement. And these I glue down just with regular glue. I have my hot glue going for the bow. The bows are a little harder to, and there is a center right there, dot right there, an embossed oval right here in the center of the back of the bee. So it's pretty easy to find where the center is. And that's where I'm gluing these down. And there is the second one. So there are the tails. And now we're going to do the bows. Now I use the same tool to kind of round out, because if I use a bone folder and try to curve it, this might crease and I don't want it to crease. So I take this skinny dowel and I'm just kind of rolling it to get my bow to curve. So you can see that I'm just rolling it to get my bow to curve without having any creases in it. And I use the skinny skewer and not a regular dowel rod because this bow is kind of small. The pink and Maine bows are not very big. So that's how I do it to roll, you know, to get these to curve. And because it is a mirrored cardstock, sometimes it's a little bit harder to get it to curve without adding creases to it. So that's why I use this skewer. And I keep it in my tools, in my toolbox here in my craft room because I use it all the time. So there's those two. And then here is the little black section that goes around the bow. So I'm going to curve the two of those as well. I got all my pieces cut out, guys. That's what I've been doing a lot of die cutting, and sometimes, you know, when I get burnt out, I don't feel like doing it anymore. And then I just start cutting because I know once they're cut, that's half the battle. And I have really been struggling to finish these kits because I've done so many that I'm burnt out from it. So I am going to add hot glue because it takes too long to hold it if I'm using just regular glue. I'll still hold it with my hands. It is a little warm, but You know, just be careful. I have a tolerance, well, a little bit of a tolerance for the heat. It's not too bad. So there's that one. So for this bow, it's 3 different die cuts. You have the actual loop part, then you have the tail, and then you have the piece that goes around the center. So that's 3 die cuts, and then the bee itself is also 3 die cuts. So for each of these little bee bows, it's 6 layers. It is 6 layers of die cutting. There's a spider, not a spider, but a glue web. So for the center, again, all I do is I just add this curved center to the center of my bow. I see the glue. And just bend it down flat. And I am going to bend it flat. Normally I like to leave it curved, but this one I'm going to flatten out because I'm going to add a flower. I'm going to add a little flower to it. So I'm just going to hold it for a little bit so it will will set. And then I will add some more hot glue. And I'm going to layer it on the back. So I got to make sure I get all this, the glue webs off. I keep saying spider. If you take a hot gun and just kind of heat it up a little bit, that will dissolve the glue, all those glue webs from your project. Again, I'm going to do the same thing here, and I am just bending it flat. So whatever you can see, make sure you take off, then you don't have to worry about that. And here is the second one. Add some hot glue to the back. And I'm going to layer this one. So that is how simple it is to make these, but I spared you guys having to sit there and watch me die cut, because it does take me quite a bit to get all my pieces die cut. So now I'm going to add my little flowers. I picked up these little flowers from Hobby Lobby, and they are from Paper Studio, and they do have them in blue, and I think they have them in like in a darker pink, and then they have this yellow and pink mixture. For the blue ones, I didn't have one, so I ordered these 2 little punches, and these are mini punches. One punches out the flower and the other one gives it the details. So that's what I use for my blue one. But for the pink one, you know, if I can buy something that helps me with my projects where I don't have to be creating little flowers, for me that's better. So now I'm going to, and I don't really like to add hot glue. I like to add regular glue, because I think that with the heat here in Florida, sometimes things tend to come off, and I don't want them to come off, so I'll let it sit. I'll use wet glue, and when it sets, it's not going to come undone because of the heat, versus like hot glue that will get soft and it might or might not come off. I also wanted to share with y'all my sunflowers, my daisies that I created. I kind of changed them up a little bit, so, and I'll share those with you. But here is the bee bows. How simple were those? So I want to share with you the daisies. I did alter them a little bit. When I'm creating my kits, I always change something in the kit. I don't know why I do that, but I do that. So here are the new daisies that I created for the kit. And I did add some of that, looks like stickles, but it's that basic, is it basic or basic glue? And the centers on here, instead of using the bling, I used an oldie but goodie. And I say oldie because I've had it a long time, but it's actually new. I've never used it. I bought this, I think I got it at Joann's years ago. And it is by Cuttlebug. And it's like a quilling, you quill this flower right here. So it's a quilling tool. And it comes with the dies to cut out the different pieces to put your flower together. So I used the center, this center, see they have it open. I quilled it very, very tight together, and then with my fingers I just kind of opened up the center to make the center for my flowers. And the flower die that I used for that, I think I still have it sitting here, hopefully. Yes. The flower die that I use for that is a die, a generic die, you know, where we all get our generic dies from. And it is this one that comes with, it's a sunflower really. It comes with these pieces. It comes with this one and a small one and a bigger one. So I actually had two sets. I had two sets. And that's what I used. I used these two that came in the set to create the petals. And I imagine you could get about the same effect for the center using this, or maybe even a tassel die that you could cut very, very short. You could get the same effect as what I did on the center there. So you don't have to have the exact thing that I have. I had it, so I used it, but you definitely can improvise. Sometimes we need to improvise. And use whatever you have, guys. Like I said, I've had this. I bought it last year and I never even used it. And I bought two of them. And I'm glad that I bought the two because it made cutting out so much faster. But look at how beautiful these look. And I'll share with y'all on a later date on how I created these. But those were the dies that I used. And here are the bee bows. Thanks for watching. I hope everyone is having a great day, a great Sunday, and God bless. Bye.